Back on the Death Lineup recapping Warriors Kings Game 7. Now, Bri, if somebody gave you some truth serum Friday night after they lost Game 6, what was your thought immediately coming into this game, Game 7 on Sunday?
It was, oh my God, did I just reverse jinx them again? I was genuinely like worried. I thought I trusted in the team that's gotten it done literally every time since 2015. Really, like, I mean, a couple finals appearances, but just getting there, they've gotten it done in the first round, second round, third round. I trusted in that, but I also was like, man, this Kings team, they got the energy, only 1 day rest. They got the home crowd. They got really nothing to lose either. That's what kind of scared me. Is it felt like you start looking at the Warriors, like the Warriors kind of had like everything to lose in that game. Is what it felt like. Is that if you told me that Draymond Green decided to leave and go to a different team because they lost Game 7, uh, I would probably believe you. Like that would make sense. I thought there was like I thought the Kings could have single handedly put an end to this Warriors era as we know it. And maybe that's a little over dramatic, but I think that, I started the series by saying, well, actually 2 months ago, I wanted the Suns, but ever since we got the Kings, I started saying like, okay, all my basketball foundational, statements or just fundamentals that I live by in the playoffs. The Kings didn't match any of them. Therefore, I took the Warriors. And I thought that, I wasn't going to stress as much as I did. So at first, then I thought I reverse jinxed them. And then when they went down 0-2, I started not praying on their downfall, but I was like, oh man, is this rough? And then they start winning again. And then I'm back on their train where I'm like, okay, yeah, we're going to take care of this. And then they lose Game 6. I'm like, oh my God, did I just reverse jinx this team 3 times? So yeah, that's where I was worried.
I thought I was smart after Game 6. I thought I had the hot take. I was like, and this is like midway through the fourth quarter. I was like, they just don't have the legs. Like they don't have the energy. The Kings have all the energy. Kings went small. They out Warriors the Warriors. And I was like, man, if they pull that again, this might be curtains. This might be it. And I was even saying in a Discord that I have, not the BSPN Discord, a different one. I was like, I don't know if they have the legs. This might be it. And they played such a smart game in Game 7. And the Kings were, I don't know if it was just the fact that it was Game 7 or if it was the Warriors were able to slow the game down so much that anytime the Kings tried to run, it was almost like they were forcing the tempo and it wasn't a natural rhythm and their guys just weren't in it. Because I don't know what the numbers were, but in the second half, how many points did they score in the second half? It seemed like the Kings couldn't put the ball in the basket.
I think they scored more than they did in the first half. But again, there was a
Okay.
lot of garbage time stuff. But I want to say they closed the half at either 42 to 46 range, and they ended at 100 points, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll pull up the box here
I'll
and we
do
can
that
take a
too.
look at the box. But so they played like champions, and that's what the argument was, right? If you're on the Warrior side, you're like, okay, they're still the veteran team. They have all of that stuff. That they have the pedigree. What did Draymond call it? The championship DNA. And so all those things pointed towards the Warriors. Now, the thing that pointed towards the Kings is that whenever the end happens, it's a team that is on the rise and the team that is on top but aging a little bit. They're the ones that lose that, and it's the team that's kind of coming. And so that story was ripe for Kings fans as well.
Totally.
And they just did not they couldn't do it today. I look at these numbers and I said this in our chat and a couple different chats that I had that I'm not sure if De'Aaron Fox is the guy that kills them. It feels like it's Malik Monk. It feels like he's the guy that they can't stop. And you look at the numbers of both guys on the biggest game of their young careers so far. Fox 5 for 19, 3 of 10 from 3. Monk 4 of 14, 2 of 8 from 3. So some of this was the Warriors defense. Some of this was Game 7. And the Warriors had some Game 7 jitters too. I mean, these non-Steph shooting numbers are terrible. Wiggins 5 for 16, Clay 4 for 19, Jordan Poole 3 for 9. Those are the only guys who took more than 5 shots. Actually, Draymond 3 for 7. But no one else took more than 5 shots except for Steph, and he was 20 of 38. I have a quote for you. Now, I don't think you've read this yet, unless you
I did.
have. You read
I
the
did.
Marcus Thompson
Yeah.
piece? Okay. So I have the quote for you, and we'll pull it up here, and then we'll kind of go into the takeaways of this game. Marcus wrote, according to multiple sources in the private session, now this was yesterday, this would have been Saturday, in which this happened, and I believe it was just at film. Were they doing film study or something?
That's what it sounded like.
Curry told the team he believed in them, that they had enough to win. He asked for their trust in return. He assured them he could deliver victory if they all bought in. He implored them to put all of their feelings aside, which sources with knowledge of the locker room felt was message directed at Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, and other guys who might have been unhappy for reasons such as playing time and role. Was JMG the only guy not to get in the game who's kind of like a guy who got minutes all season? Like, he didn't even play in the garbage time. And lock into the unified mission. Anyone who wanted to remain in their emotions, he told them to stay home. Anyone who was ready for their vacation, he told them not to get on the bus for Sacramento. But anyone who did get on the bus, Curry took that as a signature of approval, a binding agreement to be on board with the mission. And if they did that, if they got on the bus, he promised he'd deliver with his game, his faith, their solidarity, they'd win. So
can I push back? Not push back on the statement. For those who don't know, I didn't really realize it as much until reading the story. But Curry doesn't do this that much. He doesn't make these types of speeches. He's more the lead by example guy. Draymond's more of like the vocal leader, is what it's kind of been like in this era. But is anyone really not getting on the bus? Like if everyone gets on, if whoever gets on the bus, you get Curry's like signature, like, yes, I appreciate you for getting on the bus. Who's not getting on the bus? If that is a kill to your career, if you're someone on a contract like DiVincenzo, even if you're like one of the young guys, like if you just go to vacation early or you just don't get on the bus to Sacramento for a Game 7, you kill your career.
That's not what the intention was, though. His intention was he didn't want to say, Jordan, get out of your emotions. He didn't want to say, Kuminga, it's about the team. It's not about you. He didn't want to say that. So he used that example as as everybody. He's not pointing fingers at folks. But
you think there's a little Clay in there? I don't know. Clay still got his 19, huh?
Clay still put his 19 shots up. Clay is definitely in his emotions, but it's not the same. It's not over playing time. It's not over stuff off the court. It's because his jumper just left him in these last few games. That's why he's in his emotions. But anyways, wanted to mention this because I kind of early in this series, when they went down 2-0, I was like, why is Steph so calm? Like, why is he not trying to fire these guys up? Why is he saying stuff like, yeah, that's what this is about. You love the challenge of it. He was being so like, I don't even know what the word is, but he wasn't caught up in everything that we're caught up in. And he was just so calm and was just like, yeah, like this is just what it takes. It's a challenge. Can you deliver? Can you deliver in these moments? And that was his mentality. That was his thought process. And he waited until Game 7 to really put it on the line with his teammates. And this conversation, according to Marcus's article, both Steph and Dre couldn't sleep on Friday. And so Steph kind of woke up and checked his phone and he saw that he had a text from Dre. And so they were both talking about the game. And then Dre was going to do a speech in his way like this. And Steph said, no, I got it. And Draymond was like, that's all I needed to hear. So, we always have these stories that become legend in Warriors lore. The famous one is 2015 when Draymond and Steph went out to the restaurant in Memphis, and Draymond basically told him, like, "Dude, you're the MVP. Like, you're Steph Curry. You know, we need to play through you." And there's so many different moments, the Kevin Durant stuff, and how Steph, is like, "Hey, man, it's not. I don't really care whose team it is. I just want to win." And so you have these moments with him, but he's not boisterous. He's not a great quote in the media. You don't hear from him. You, like you said, lead by example. But this is another one of those moments where he kind of did what he needed to do. Now, some may say, "Oh, it's only the first round," and yeah, it's true. It's only the first round, but he sensed that it was important enough for that to come out now. And we'll see. Maybe that will have some effect throughout the next season or the next series, because it has to, right? Like, now we're saying Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga both because we've been watching the whole season and last year too, but also because Marcus named them in this piece. So I don't feel like I'm speaking out of turn in mentioning them, but they're both young dudes. There's pressure on them. There's pressure on their brand to do well on this big stage. Kuminga's going to have, what does Kuminga have? 2 more seasons, and then or no, he's got 1 season, and then the Warriors have an option, right? To
They have
pick up
the
the option.
extension
And
potential.
and so, you don't want that decision for them to even think about it. You're like, "Come on, I'm JK, man. Like, I'm the future." But he's not getting any run. And you have Jordan Poole, who's playing more reminiscent to when they had to send him down to the G League 3 years ago or 2 years ago
Mm-hmm.
than than last year's Jordan Poole.
Yeah, the almost most improved player.
And so, Steph, as much as, it's sort of like picking on young guys, like, it's the energy. We saw that there was that video that came out after game 6 where it looks like Draymond is kind of going to maybe pat Jordan on the back, and Jordan pushes, kind of pushes out of the way. Now, we don't have context in that video. We just had that short clip. But that kind of energy is, what it's like to play in a team. Like, it's just
Yeah, but
contagious in the wrong way.
what happens when the guy that you say, you know what, maybe I don't want to talk to you. Maybe that what happens when that guy punches you in the face 8 months earlier?
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
saying
you
I'm
have
saying I'm more so like, yeah, that maybe that wasn't the best look on camera, but like I don't know. Just for me, it was just like, look, Jordan's having a terrible game. Maybe he doesn't want to take advice from someone right now, especially from the guy who gave him a nice little shiner.
Yeah, but that's part of, I think, what Steph is saying, right?
Yeah, Draymond didn't punch Steph in the face.
But it's the, you have to let that stuff. If that punch is affecting Jordan Poole in the NBA playoffs, then he's just not going to play,
I don't.
right?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm more so just saying like, hey, maybe I just like don't want to. Uh, I don't know. I didn't think that was. I didn't think that was the worst. I don't know. I'm kind of on Jordan Poole's side for that one. I didn't think that was like. Yeah, like he hears everything. Like I think there was a game where he went off in the regular season, towards the end of the regular season. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember what it was, but he had a comment like in his post game. When Mully and Festus talked to people on the court, whoever was the player of the game, like Poole said right away, like, I've been hearing what you guys have been saying about me. And Mully's like, what did we say? But he was more so directing it to like, I guess, people on Twitter. So like Jordan hears, he's reading that stuff, what people are saying about him on Twitter. And it's just been all negative for the past like 3 weeks. And he knows that. I mean, I feel like most players like understand they have a self-awareness, except for Dylan Brooks. Everyone else has a self-awareness of like, hey, I see people are talking bad about me on social media. I am playing bad. Maybe I don't want to have this type of conversation with.
Okay, but you can do that with words, right? You can do that off the court. Hey, Dre, next time you just kind of got to let me be. You can't be that demonstrative, because when you already have this reputation, you being that demonstrative in front of people it's not good for the energy. It's not good for the team. It just makes your teammates eye roll you. And look, he may have a much better relationship with these guys than we know, and maybe they have some sort of understanding of that. But you don't do that when you win a game, right?
It doesn't get put on camera. I'll tell you that much. If you're winning,
Well, I mean, the cameras are there, but you're not going to react that way when you're winning. If you hit a three and Draymond comes to dap you up, you're dapping him up. But if you play like crap and Draymond comes over and tries to, get you going and keep your head in it, and you push him away, that is a telling thing for the chemistry of a basketball team. And I think that is a lot of what was in Steph's quote and in what he wanted to say. And hopefully it'll get them to play through that stuff and not have it. I don't know if you can not have it, but I'm Team Jordan on that punch as well. You know that, but when it comes to game time and when the check is on the line and when the championship is on the line and you're telling everybody this is what you play for, you kind of have to leave that stuff and deal with it after. So I just found that leadership from Steph to be very interesting. Very happy that they had that moment and that they could go on and win this game. So let's do some takeaways. I will let you have the Steph one, just the how he played. The takeaway that I'm going to have is it is going to be Kings based because I find the Monday morning quarterbacking for today's game so interesting, and I don't really know too many Kings fans, so I don't know what they feel. This is more just sort of a casual basketball conversation, but Domantas Sabonis, he had a good box score, except the 8 rebounds to Looney's 21. He definitely got out rebounded. But you look at his box and you're like, he seemed like he played kind of well. He's a minus 22 on the floor, and he's the guy. He played the most minutes of anybody on their team, and it looked like, at least as far as my eyes saw in Game 6, that Domantas Sabonis, when he went to the bench, their offense just got so much better. Now, I'm not saying you have to sit that guy because they were not afraid to sit guys. Harrison Barnes, 13 minutes tonight. Keegan Murray, 27 minutes. Kevin Huerter, 28 minutes. You could probably argue that Kevin Huerter should have probably played more closer to Harrison Barnes' number. So Mike Brown wasn't afraid to sit guys who gave him heavy minutes and great minutes for the entire season. Terrence Davis played 25 minutes today. Malik Monk played 31. Trey Lyles played 20. So those guys got the minutes that Harrison didn't. But not Sabonis. Sabonis played 37 minutes. He wasn't really in foul trouble. It just looked on television like Kevon Looney kicked his butt up and down the floor. And I kind of wonder, should Mike Brown have done a little bit more of what they did in Game 6 with Sabonis? And that's my major takeaway, which is Sabonis was a big part of the reason they lost. I also blame Fox didn't have anything today, and if he did, this game is probably a little different. But he couldn't. Steph has 50, and you need to match him, and that's the conversation that people are having. That you need to match him, and when Steph has 50, you have 16. So those are my two big takeaways. They're two best players. They're two all-star type players, all-star caliber players. Those guys did not show up in the way that they needed them to show up today.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's honestly something I was thinking too, and I'm glad that you mentioned his minutes because I feel like that checks out with the eye test then. They figured something out in Game 6, the Kings did.
Yeah.
And it felt like they did not use that in Game 7. It's almost like Mike Brown said, okay, I'm going to try to outthink myself here where Kerr thinks I'm going to use that small ball lineup, so he's going to be prepared for it. So instead, let's just go back to what we were doing and see if we can catch them off guard. I don't know if that was the thinking. That's just what it looked like, and it looked so silly. I thought that Sabonis was for sure the person who should have sat the bench a little more. And I'm with you that Kevin Herter probably should have gotten the HB minutes and just reversed those two.
Yeah.
It felt like with Kevin Herter, everyone was like, "Oh, he's due, he's due, he's due," and he just never
Well, he hit the
played
first
well.
one, right? And so you're like, "Uh-oh, he hit the first one. This might be coming for him." And that's the only one he hit.
I'm
He
not
was
gonna lie. Every single time he hit a 3-pointer in any game, I was like, "Uh-oh, I hope he doesn't get it going," and he never got it going.
I mean, it's not like he was completely useless. He led the team in rebounds. He and Monk both had 9 rebounds, so he was flying around the court. But also, when he had to guard Steph was like, "Oh, okay." And Steph didn't really have to do anything but go right. He would just go right by him, layup. Okay, what was your major takeaway?
I mean, if you're giving me Steph, a little side one is what I don't think I've ever seen. If we were giving out a butt cheek award, I'm sure there's multiple people who would get it. But for me, like GP2, like I didn't think he can get rattled like that. Like I don't know if he was like rattled, but it just was not his type of confident.
He missed a bunny.
Missed like 2 bunnies, or he goaltended a bunny.
Yeah, he hung on. He grabbed the rim. It had to be accidental. I think he was trying to do it like a putback, but he did grab it when the ball went in.
And then someone beats him, just sneaks behind him baseline, and he catches it late, and then he goes and fouls the guy for an and one. It
Yeah.
was just he was a -13. I was very surprised at how poorly he played because I feel like he's usually like you could shoe him in for good minutes.
I thought he had a nice steal on Fox where he slapped the ball. Fox was going left. He slapped the ball, goes off of Fox's knee, and it goes out of bounds. They called him for a foul, but Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy were too busy goofing off talking about something else. And I was like, that looked like a clean play. But you're right, because I texted you early in the game and I was like, I'm not sure this is GP's game. Like, this may not be his game tonight. This may not be the one for him. And yeah, it's cheap. If we go back a few games, Draymond Green had a quote, something about, I don't even know the quote. I heard it on a podcast, probably plus minus, where Draymond said something like, yeah, finally Gary's doing something for us, or something like it was kind of like a backhanded compliment. And he did not, he didn't have very many of those dunks. He didn't have very many of those crashing the rebounds. A lot of times I was watching him, and there were opportunities for him to crash the offensive rebound, but I think he was trying to stick to shoot to his spot in the corner just in case. I wasn't really sure, and no one really mentioned it, but he didn't play well, and I'm glad that wasn't a focal point of a possible loss, because they, again, you look at that box score and it's like 2 guys played well for the Warriors. 2 guys played excellently. You could say Draymond. I thought Draymond played pretty well. But
Yeah,
Clay, Jordan, GP, Moses was Moses. He was just kind of out there. But yeah, Steph really saved everybody's tail tonight and did
yeah.
so to
I
where
mean,
it was a
there's the
blowout.
takeaway. Yeah, the takeaway is that Steph had a 50 ball. He Let me just confirm a couple statistics. 20 for 38, 7 for 18 from 3, 50 ball. That is the record for most points in a game 7. If I'm not if I'm yeah, that's correct. Most points in a game for a game 7. I think second place is KD versus the
Yeah.
Milwaukee Bucks
Was it
in
last year
2021,
or 2 years ago?
2 years ago,
Yeah.
and KD lost that game. So now we have
Foot
another
on
one to
the
come.
line on the 3,
Yeah, that's the
man.
famous foot on the line. His shoes too big. I thought what was super impressive is that 37 minutes. Now they got pulled early because they're starting to blow him out.
He would have gone 40 if he'd have played the whole
Do you know?
fourth
Do you
quarter.
know when he got pulled?
It had to be
4-minute mark,
3 minutes, I think.
3-minute mark. Okay, so he would have gone 40. He's
Yeah.
gone he's gone like 43, like multiple times in this series already. But yeah, 37 minutes, 50 ball on that efficient a shooting. Like I feel like we just witnessed one of the greatest games of all time from one of the greatest players of all time.
And You know what was the most impressive thing to me was not the way that he shot the 3 ball, because he shot the 3 ball better than that.
Mhm.
It was late in the game, and we've talked about this when KD was here. Late in the game, late in the shot clock, you need a bucket. KD's the best player of all time for that moment because he's just taller than everybody who's guarding him. He catches everything in rhythm. He goes up for the J, for the mid range, and he's just money. Steph was a small version of KD today. His usage rate was maybe the highest it's ever been
Yeah.
in one game. And when they needed a bucket, when everyone else was cold, Andrew Wiggins missing 4 free throws in a row, Clay, these guys are leaving Clay wide open. They're doing the Sabonis to Clay. He's even getting a rhythm dribble and he's bricking. And Steph was like, okay, what's the best offense? Well, I'm going to hold the ball. I'm going to pull it out. And when 10 seconds, I'm going to get a screen. I'm either going to go with the screen or I'm going to not go with the screen. And I'm going to get in the paint and I'm going to get to the bucket, or I'm going to shoot, a 12-footer. It was crazy how everybody in the building knew what was happening. The Kings' 5 players knew what was happening. And every time he passed it out, they were so happy. Draymond in the corner, I was like, oh, okay, I guess. And he missed. But they couldn't stop it. It was one of the craziest things you'll ever see from a guy who is like literally 6'1.5". The handle was there, no crazy turnovers, the ability just to be strong and hold your position, seeing the trap before the trap got there. And even sometimes the trap is there and he just figures out how to split it because his handle is so good. He was on one tonight. And I don't know what the greatest Steph performance of all time is, but this has got to be up there.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally is.
All right. So we have Steph. Steph's our player of the game, no doubt. If you want to have a distant second, it's probably Loon. He killed Sabonis tonight. It was we know that he has that in him, and some of it was he was just in the perfect spot, but he made Sabonis, look like a small guy out there, and I think Sabonis is probably taller than he is. But Loon was a man tonight. By the way, my guy Shelvin, who's usually watches Rod and I on the We Want Winners, he's in Arizona. So he wants Suns and Warriors in the Western Conference Finals.
So does Adam Silver.
So does Adam Silver. Yeah, well, Adam Silver's probably fine with Lakers Suns, though. It's a good second
Nuggets?
Place. No, they don't want the Nuggets. But you know what? The Nuggets in game 1, they kind of put it to them.
Yeah, I have the Nuggets, but
I mean, if you the on paper better basketball team is the Nuggets, and as we know, though, on paper doesn't always fit in the way that we want. So before we get to the Lakers Warriors quick preview, I want to mention that tomorrow Brad and I will be doing Thompson and Clark. The Giants just played in Mexico City against the Padres, and they had won 3 out of 4 from St. Louis, I believe. I know they played St. Louis, but I think it was 3 out of 4. And so you're kind of going into this series in Mexico, which is kind of fun, kind of going in on a high. You don't play the Padres many times this year as you usually do. And as it's kind of been the rhythm of this season, the games that they lose feel worse than the games that they win make you feel good about the team.
Is this the Warriors? Are we talking about the Warriors still?
We're talking about the Giants, man. They go into Mexico City and it's kind of,
they had that crazy game where it was
like arena baseball where just Tatis.
I thought I was behind the controller.
Tatis hit a pop-up and almost like he just threw his bat down in frustration and the ball went over the fence. I was like, what's going on here? But anyway, Brad and I will be there to talk about it. And we're going to name Brad's cocktail, his Terramana and grapefruit stevia cocktail. We're both going to have one tomorrow, and then we're going to name the drink and probably put something on social media for the recipe for anybody who wants to have some with us. Okay, so let's get to this preview. Warriors-Lakers. I asked you to look at the best lineups that the Lakers had in the series against Memphis. Now, they're probably gonna make some adjustments. I don't think they're gonna play them the same way that they played Memphis. But what are we looking at as far as lineups for the Lakers?
We are looking at D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Jared Vanderbilt, Anthony Davis.
So
It's their money lineup.
is that their starting five?
That is their starting five.
Yeah, it's a good lineup. It's a really good lineup. Now, if you're a Warriors fan who watched D'Angelo Russell, I think you're comfortable with that matchup with Steph.
Oh yeah.
Now he's not going to guard Steph. I'm sure they'll be creative. I'm sure Vanderbilt's going to take some time, on him
Schroeder,
mostly, and then and they'll get them both into action and try and get, Reeves Reeves could play okay. Steph will want to bust him, but they're gonna, that's a really really good lineup, and it just kind of tells you. The way that the Warriors were able to beat the Kings because the Kings didn't really have that inside presence. That's not the way that you're going to be able to beat the Lakers. And so I'm really curious what the lever is that Kerr pulls. And I've been harping on this the last game or two. I think it's got to be Kuminga. I think Kuminga has to play in this series just because he is another big body and a big athlete. But if this game gets slowed down, because LeBron's going to slow it down, and then you watch the Warriors today, they are very comfortable playing slow. That is not the best usage of Kuminga. So I don't know. I'm hopeful that he gets some run. You could use 3 or 4 of his fouls against LeBron and AD. But what do you think? Kerr, is there a lever for Kerr to pull in this series based on these matchups?
Ooh. I think the Kuminga one's tough. I see what you're saying. He's a body to throw at like even like LeBron. He actually did a really solid job his rookie year giving LeBron like an issue during a game. But man, I swear those were his worst games this year. Kuminga's against the Lakers. Just Vanderbilt doing to him what Draymond did to Russell Westbrook, just like daring him to shoot.
But you mentioned this the last time we talked. Steph didn't play in a few of those games,
and Wiggins didn't play any
so Kuminga's trying to do. He's trying to be a guy, right? He's trying to be a threat, and that won't be his role, because he's not going to be the guy that they need to just go and get an easy 2. He's going to be the beneficiary of the GP stuff, the lob, the putbacks, the crash the boards. And that's what they would expect out of him. So I don't know, but what do you think about Moody? Does Moody fit in this series?
I feel like Moody played so well this series that you can't not try him. I know it feels like the story for Moody has just been like stay ready, and he's only like a situational guy where some series he works, some series he doesn't. I feel like that shouldn't be like the total narrative around this guy. Like it seems like he's a try hard guy. It seems like, stay ready, does a lot of the right things. I don't know why he shouldn't see run in this specific series, but I'm interested in that Klay Austin Reeves matchup. I've been saying, we say how Klay gets cooked by those little small point guards, those quick small point guards. And I've been saying that I feel like, that slower bucket getter is more of the guy who Klay can keep up with, like the Jaylen Brown of last finals. I feel like Austin Reeves kind of fits that mold. I'm excited for that type of matchup.
He was up and down with Keegan, but Keegan did not have a great game. You could say that maybe the reason Klay's shots were flat because he was balling out as hard as he could on defense today.
Interesting. I'm trying to think of like okay, so just looking at going to the teams here for filtered by this year's playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers are number 1 in rebounding. I believe. Okay, rebounds. Lakers 49.7 per game. That's number 1. The Warriors are number 5, 46.4 per game. What worries me because Anthony Davis is not Domantas Sabonis. Even their backup, who I think the Warriors will have a nice time dealing with is Wenyan Gabriel. He's like I don't know, Nerlens Noel type of big, or like a
He had 21 minutes this entire series against the Grizzlies.
yeah, and a lot of it came at that very game 7, maybe. But I just don't know if Looney, if he's gonna have this another type of, what he had against the Kings is like amazing, and almost feels like it can't be replicated anyways. But you know, Anthony Davis is a different type of monster, and I feel like Draymond Green is usually the guy who's been good on Anthony Davis. I'm just mainly wondering, like, okay, all this loon talk, I don't know where he fits in this series.
Well, he's going to have to battle for those rebounds, right? Anthony Davis.
We don't want him guarding Anthony Davis.
Well, and he doesn't have to guard him, but that's who he's going to be battling in the inside for rebounds. Anthony Davis had 14 rebounds a game. LeBron had 11. So it's also Draymond, right? Draymond is going to have to battle, and you may see them play together a little bit more instead of separating them like they had done. Anthony Davis had almost 4.5 blocks a game too. Jared Vanderbilt had 1.5. It's so interesting how these minutes are, and I understand some of the Lakers fans maybe not super happy with the rotations, but Vanderbilt actually plays less per game than Rui does. Vanderbilt's at 20 in this series, this previous series against Memphis, and Rui was at 25. Austin's playing a lot. He's playing 36 minutes. D'Angelo is at 31. And Schroeder plays 22. Schroeder is a guy who can hurt the Warriors for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Malik Beasley, I thought Malik Beasley would play a little bit more. He was only playing about 11 minutes a game. And then Troy Brown Jr. about 15 minutes a game. So Gabriel, he barely played. Lonnie Walker barely played. Christie barely played. Mo Bamba, 10 minutes in 6 games. And
I'm telling you, like all of those guys, like I was filtering their minutes and their number 2 lineup just by a per game basis. So a 9-minute per game lineup was that bench time lineup.
Yeah.
After game 7, they were up by 30 going into the fourth quarter. Like they just subbed in everyone. And that's why Max Christie even logged a minute because of that type of lineup.
What is your biggest worry going into this series? Because the Warriors will have home court advantage. So, they won these 2 really hard road games. They still tend to play better at home. And so Warriors fans should feel pretty good about that. But what is your biggest worry about the Lakers?
Game 1, I think, is my biggest worry. Not even just of the Lakers, just game 1. I think that, the Warriors and the Lakers both had their game 6 on Friday. The Warriors did not get it done and had to go to a game 7. The Lakers got it done. So now they have been resting since Friday night, and then the Warriors had to play today on Sunday, and the Lakers did not have to play today. They won their series, and they're gonna be playing. They're gonna have a 4-day rest, whereas the Warriors are gonna have like a 1-day rest up until they play on Tuesday. So even though the Warriors have this crazy home court advantage, and they're probably gonna be favored, I worry about this team. I don't want to be Malik Monk and call them old guys, but they're old guys, and I think that they needed to win that game 6 just to I think they needed the rest, and I think that the Lakers have a actual chance to legitimately upset them in game 1, which I feel like is just not great especially when you have home court advantage, just because the Warriors messed around and didn't get it done in game 6.
My biggest worry is that LeBron has this ability to slow the game down and kind of dissect the game when he needs. And it's kind of it's pretty much what Steph did tonight. But LeBron does that. He does that more often when he sees things get bogged down and he's like, okay, this is how we're going to have to do this. If Andre Iguodala was able to play, I think I'd be so much more comfortable because Iguodala is that for the Warriors defensively. Like he can break things down defensively, like LeBron can break things down offensively.
Hey, careful!
What are you talking to?
No, you.
What?
We calling Iguodala LeBron on defense of what LeBron is on offense. We're calling Iguodala that on defense.
No,
you're just gonna get the Laker trolls coming after you. You have to be careful.
No, they don't care. he's just been there and he's guarded LeBron in the toughest times. And I'm not saying that this version of Iguodala could guard this version of LeBron. LeBron is so much bigger than him now, anyways. But I would just feel so much more comfortable that when you go to the bench and you have a Moody or you have a Kuminga, if you had an Andre, I would feel so much more comfortable about giving Andre a couple of shots just to kind of make sure things are okay in those moments. But you see him coaching on the sidelines, right? Every time Jordan Poole came out of the game, like Andre was standing up, he was in his ear. Moses Moody as well. So he's there. He's trying to make it as much of an imprint as he can in not playing. But my worry is that the Warriors defensively may get bogged down a little bit when LeBron decides to slow the game down and let's go possession. Okay, who am I going to point out on this court? Okay, we're going to get a screen, we're going to get a switch, and then I'm going to, do some stuff here. That's my biggest worry because no Andre and Kuminga didn't play. So if you put him into this series and you expect something from him, he did not get the reps in the last series to kind of to be in it, so that he may be a little cold. So that's my main worry. I think this series is going to be a great chess match. The part that you mentioned with the fatigue, that could swing game one.
That's
Totally
why
could swing game one.
I think it's specifically game one. I looked at the games because I wrote them down on my little calendar, but I'm pretty sure it's a 1 day rest
Yeah, for the entire
for the
series.
entire series.
It's
And
they play,
it's a
so it's
proximity thing.
it's Tuesday, then it's Thursday, then it's Saturday, then it's
Saturday,
Monday, then it's Wednesday, then it's Friday, then it's Sunday again. So that's the rhythm of the whole series. Now, it's going to be very similar to this one in that, it's just a quick flight. So it's not like, you're flying
Well, they drove.
across country. But the flight to LA takes less than the
Yeah, like
drive to
45
Sacramento.
minutes.
So
Yeah.
so they won't have that, and hopefully that helps them a little bit. But are you ready to call your prediction here? What do you think is going to happen in this series? How many games?
To me, it feels like, I hate calling 7 because really not many series go to 7. I think I called 1 or 2 sevens. I think I called 2 sevens in the first round, and it was only 1 7, and it was the one I didn't call, which was the Warriors. So I just feel like sevens are just not likely. So I think I'm gonna go Warriors in 6. I think that, I think that this was an inspiring win against the Kings. I think if it was a close one, I'd feel a little more weary about giving them the edge in game one, but it was a pretty, they killed them. They waxed them. So I'm more inspired for that reason. What I've been getting a read on just by like stats, and I feel like it's kind of hard to take away from that Lakers Memphis series, with the weird stuff that was going on. Ja gets hurt in the beginning. It seems like he's not himself. They're missing, 2 of their key 7 guys in the rotation due to injury. Even like Luke Kennard, who was cooking for them, just can't play in the last game. So I'm getting the read that the Lakers, just by filtering through these stats and just going through the traditional and the advanced, is that the Lakers have the better defense, the Warriors have the better offense. But what I feel like makes me feel a little more confident is that I think the Warriors defense, when needed, is one of the best in the league. With some of the guys they got with Wiggins, Dre, GP2, Kuminga, if he plays, Moody's pretty solid on defense. DiVincenzo, of course. Just a lot of solid defenders up and down the roster that I think can hang with the Lakers. The Lakers just kind of got that size on them. And haven't the Warriors always killed size?
Yeah, they've killed size by going small and running, but they don't look like they want to run as much these
Well,
days.
Anthony Davis is like your perfect small ball 5, right? That's kind of always, it's been like that's why he's so great.
The whistle could hurt the Warriors in this series too.
What's been interesting is that it's kind of been a similar whistle for both teams, but I you're right. The Lakers got some insane whistle in the regular season, but I think it's comparable if I was looking correctly. What is also comparable is they both turned the ball over a lot, which is fun for the Warriors, I'd say.
LeBron he barely made a 3 a game in this series, and he shot he shot like 7 of them a game.
Oh man,
he's
they
like
were just messing around this series against the Grizzlies. Like they knew.
but when it comes to the free throw line, he got to the line 31 times. Davis got to the line 29 times. I haven't looked at the Warriors numbers as far as how many times they got to the free throw line, but it didn't
Okay, just
seem
looking,
as
I could, I
much.
could, I could tell you, on a per game basis. I don't know how valuable this per game basis is, just because it accounts for that game 7 or game 6 for the Lakers, which was just an
Actually,
absolute
you know
killer.
what? Steph got to the line
5 times tonight.
more than both of them, more than both
Ooh.
LeBron and AD.
Steph's free throw attempts on a per game level, like just looking at from game to game, like felt very polarizing. Like it felt
Mhm.
like there was 13 one night and 5 the other night, and I couldn't tell you what he was doing differently in terms of like what he did to get to the line. It just felt like he either got him or he didn't. But the Warriors, yeah, they shot more free throws per game than the Lakers did so far in the playoffs. 25 attempts per game. The Lakers at 21.7 attempts per game. The Lakers shot it at an 80% clip. The Warriors at a 75% clip. I don't know if that factors in this game because,
Yeah, they were 5 of
whoosh,
14 in the third quarter on the free throw line.
I think it does
That's
account for this game.
ridiculous.
That
That's
was like,
ridiculous.
if we lost, like, oh man, just because you couldn't hit your damn free throws, like
Yeah.
that is, that's like feels like every high school coach is like, just hit your free throws, man.
My prediction is I think they win in 7, and
You calling a 7?
I don't think a road team wins a game. I think it's home team wins every single game in the series. You know why? You know why I think that? The reason why I think that is because it's Steph versus LeBron. In when you need to win on your home court, your best players are not, are not going to play poorly, to
De'Aaron Fox.
no, but that's what I'm saying. He's not Steph and he's not LeBron. Like these guys have the reps of being in the finals. Like they played in the finals 4 times against each other. Like how ridiculous is that? And this is only a second round series, but I'm calling every home team wins their game and the Warriors win the 7th game at Chase. And that's how close I think the series is going to be. Now, the chess match I think is going to be crazy because you're trying to find little things on the margins to be better, and sometimes it's just about your best 5 and our best 5. Jared Vanderbilt, is he going to hit shots like Malik Monk, or is he going to shoot like, yeah, he doesn't shoot as much as Keegan, but it's like it's that stuff too. Austin Reeves never been in a big series. D'Angelo Russell, he's never did
Never
he
been
even
in.
make the playoffs
He's never
before?
been past the first round, if
So
I'm remembering correctly.
so they're really relying on LeBron's Yoda mentality, and Davis has played the
Been the
Warriors in
better
the
one.
finals. I mean, in the playoffs a lot of times. The Warriors, remember in was it 15 or 16?
15
I
and 17.
Yeah, I think there was that one game where the Warriors had to make that crazy comeback, and Steph had to shoot that 3 from the corner where he couldn't see. Like those games were like that because Anthony Davis was on the other side. So yeah,
I think what worries me though is that, like, how much this series means to LeBron. And I feel like if you want to be objective, like I think LeBron has maybe been the 7th or 8th best player in the league this season, and we're used to him being like top 3 or whatever. But I think that in this series, like if there is a switch that he's been waiting to flip, like it just worries me that he's just gonna do it in this series. Like this, how
that
much it means to him to beat the Warriors, to beat Steph. If like, 'cause I personally believe, and I don't think it's a hot take, that Anthony Davis has been the Lakers' best player in the playoffs so
oh yeah,
far.
and at the end of the season because LeBron was hurt.
Yep. And so I'm just like, is LeBron just gonna do some turn back the clock? Of course he will. It's against the Warriors. Of course that's gonna happen. I
Okay,
think that's what's
one
worrying me.
caveat is LeBron still hurt.
Hey, I don't know, didn't he, what was his major quote? He's like, I saw the LeBron James of feet in Germany. So I don't know.
Because if he's still, if he's playing on this foot and it's not, even near 100%, maybe there is a limit to what he can do. Because we're giving the Warriors crap for every other day because they're tired, but this brother is 38 years old too. He's got more miles on him than anybody in the league. So
But he's like the
that's
greatest
something.
athlete of all time. So that's kind of scaring to me. It's like, does that guy get tired? I don't know.
I don't know. Steph, you would think Steph is supposed to get
Steph
tired
is the
too.
most well-conditioned athlete in the world. That's my opinion. But I think LeBron James is just like the greatest athlete of all time.
Even more than like a 4-minute 50 4-minute 50-second miler.
That you're just fast. You're not. That doesn't totally mean you're well conditioned. I
That's
think it's the
stamina right
marathon
there.
guys. It's the marathon guys. It's the
20
Ironman guys. Those are the greatest athletes of all time. Actually, the Ironman guys.
All right, so how do you want to do this? Do you want to try and come back Tuesday night? I don't think I can come back Thursday night, and then we will figure out what the weekend is like. But do you want to try and come back after game one?
Yeah, let's write that down in pencil though.
Okay, all right. So we'll try to come back after game one. Probably not going to be able to do so after game two. But yeah, if we get one of the next two games, I think we're good, and then we can.
And we're
worry about
potentially
the
in
next.
Arizona for like a potential game 6 or 7, huh?
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
All right. All righty. So that'll be it from here. Thanks to Shelvin for popping in and a couple other people who were listening live, watching live. We don't got them light years 2,000 views after the live stream is over yet, like light years. But Damon Bruce, I was like, oh, Damon Bruce is going live. He didn't have those light years numbers. What's going on, man? So, no, I mean, he's newly in the medium though. He's just got out of radio. So we'll be back hopefully Tuesday night. If not, keep checking the social feeds, as you can see here if you're watching on video. So for Bry, I am a Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.